This is the Conservative American Message, hosted by the one and only Cam Lau. It is Monday, March 25th, 2024, and you are listening to the 66th episode of this podcast. Economist Milton Friedman said, "One of the greatest mistakes is to judge policies and programs by their intentions rather than their results." I have big news for you guys. This weekend we officially launched our website along with our new merch store. So far, I just have Cam logo t-shirts available, but more products are coming soon. Go to campodcast.square.site or just click the link in the description of this episode. We're going to be running a special promotional drawing for a $5 gift card if you order before April 7th. You'll be able to use that gift card towards any future merch that we come out with. Last week, we were looking at the recent legal decision against Donald Trump. He currently owes over $450 million. Everyone's speculating if he will be able to pay off his fines or if this will be the witch hunt to bankrupt him. If you think that $450 million means diddly squat to Donald, let me tell you something. The man is worth $2.6 billion with a B. That's 1,000 millions. Just Truth Social alone is set to go to IPO in the near future, and he's going to make hundreds of millions off of that deal. What's just flat out wrong is that he cannot secure a surety bond, which is available to almost anyone who has some amount to pay. But Trump can't secure a bond because of the outrageousness of the amount. It's far too high for them to be able to insure, even with Trump being so wealthy. So much for the rich being able to cheat the system. In this case, he would have been better off with nothing. There's no justice left in this country if the ruling is not appealed and immediately reversed. Even if it takes it all the way to the Supreme Court just to fix this, there's no scenario in which this should be allowed to happen. Our government is targeting the political opposition and we're becoming a dictatorship. But as bad as things get here, we are still the greatest nation in the world, far better than our neighbors to the north. For example, in Canada, medically assisted suicide has been legal for several years now. It was promised by Justin Trudeau that people would be eligible to be medically terminated for mental illness by March 2024. Luckily, the Canadian legislature has postponed that law and continues to debate over the effectiveness of this treatment, as they call it. So, to be blunt, if a person is depressed and even suicidal, and they make the decision to kill themselves, then the best treatment to prevent that would be to have a doctor kill them instead. This is sick, stupid, and completely unethical. People who suffer from mental illness often need to be protected from themselves. You cannot claim that an unstable person can rationally give consent to death. I think it's wrong to allow euthanasia on any human being in the first place. I'm entirely pro-life. But the notion that the cure for suicidality is suicide is ridiculous. Some politicians claim that Canada does not have adequate resources to provide care for the mentally ill. So basically, if people can never get care, let's just kill them instead. That's just universal healthcare in action. I sometimes see people on social media claiming that they'd be better off traveling to Canada for their healthcare so they can get free treatment. But yet, in reality, there are many Canadians with the means to do so that are traveling to the US to pay for procedures that they want done right. The left is so concerned with letting people do as they please that they will seek death in the name of freedom. I will never understand this liberal fixation on genocide. They just want to kill the most vulnerable people all the time. From abortion to euthanasia, I just don't get it. I sometimes get pushback on the pro-life stance for being in favor of capital punishment. And I think that the death penalty is an entirely different conversation. But I'm willing to compromise. Let's ban the death penalty. But then you have to stop killing babies, stop killing the elderly, the intellectually disabled, the physically disabled, or any other vulnerable population that the left is targeting. If heinous criminals have to live to save those lives, I think I can live with that. I feel the need to preface this by saying I'm a person who used to eat a lot of Tyson chicken patties. But in recent years, I've found that the Walmart brand is much less costly and better quality. So I switched from Tyson to generic probably 2 years ago. Now that's not an advertisement, that's just a little disclaimer. Because that being said, it was reported this week that Tyson Foods would be closing its processing plant in Perry, Iowa, and opening up a new plant in New York to hire illegal immigrants. Of course, this led to outrage among the masses on social media, and people are now calling for a boycott of all Tyson products, which include a variety of brand names in the grocery store. After the successes of the conservative boycotts for companies like Target and Budweiser, we feel empowered to vote with our dollars and punish poor decisions made by these corporations. Now, I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, and I don't just mean the chickens, but in the case of boycotting Tyson, we might need to slow down our roll a little bit. Tyson is indeed closing its plant in Perry, Iowa. They're closing it because they can't find enough people to work there. Tyson Foods reports that in their over 500 facilities across the United States, they are understaffed by nearly an average of 10%. This plant had even worse numbers than that, and if they cannot efficiently run the facility and can't find people willing to accept their jobs, they are forced to close down. That's capitalism, baby. What about the illegal immigrants, though? Isn't that bad? Well, yes, every illegal immigrant is a criminal. And it can be that simple if you simply want to be an ignorant, cold-hearted conservative that merely complains about everything. But if there are people here that came across that border illegally, but are willing to work for a living and do the jobs that us whiny Americans refuse to do for less pay than we're going to accept, then more power to them. They're not taking jobs away from Americans. They're filling the roles that most Americans are literally not doing. That's why Tyson has to make this choice. Yes, there are legitimate, hard-working Americans who will lose their jobs in Perry, and that's unfortunate. But a company is not responsible for providing you a job. It's responsible for maximizing profit. Don't like it? Well, that's capitalism, baby. If you truly think that Tyson is evil for prioritizing their shareholders over their employees, then you might as well head over to California with your communist comrades because, again, this is capitalism. It's not even just for the shareholders, it's for the consumers. Everyone wants to complain about the price of groceries, but yet we all want to be paid more than we're worth, and I'm sure the people working at a food processor feel the same way. But at the end of the day, wages move prices, move wages, move prices. It's a never-ending cycle. You can't have it both ways and get high wages and cheap products. You get paid for the value you create in your role, period. If your job can be easily replaced by younger, cheaper labor, then it will be. You don't have some God-given right to your job. You have to be valuable. Yeah, some of these workers Tyson is finding may be illegals. But do you realize what it takes to become a legal citizen after the situation that Joe Biden has created? The border crisis has caused such an influx of illegals that if someone wants to come here legally, it's a 2-year process at best. Now, if you were dirt poor and wanted nothing more than to come here and live the American dream, you can't simply become a citizen by coming in the right way. That's how it should be, yes. But we don't live in some fantasy land. We live in reality. So if somebody wants to come here illegally, but wants to be a citizen and have a job and contribute to our society, Tyson is providing that avenue for them. The company is offering to obtain them their legal citizenship, and they're claiming that they will not hire anyone who is not already legally authorized to work in the United States. At the end of the day, too many people on the right just want to be pissed off and cuss at the TV while Fox News jams propaganda down their throats. But we have got to be more discerning when it comes to these issues and not just apply blanket terms to every unique situation. Buy whatever brand you want, but remember, just because a headline or Facebook post, if we're being honest, says the words illegal immigrant, 1, doesn't make it true, and 2, doesn't make it wrong. Look at the facts, find the truth, and quit assuming that every corporation is evil because you're starting to sound like a frickin' Democrat. Well, that's all I have time for. Were you offended by this podcast? Fantastic. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate you all. Have a great week and stay conservative.